evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We are here with Ricky and Ron. I am Don Wayne. We had some shit go down in football. My Broncos won. It's a hell of a Tuesday. How are you boys doing?
Great,
Hey,
man. Great.
Raiders won too. Raiders won too.
The only way it could get any better is if my name was Jimbo freaking Fisher right now. I can tell you that much.
Right.
My Lord. Uh-oh, we lost Ricky. There he's coming back.
He's come back.
He's back. All right. Good for us.
I just lost both of you guys. What happened?
Well,
here?
you're back. You're back. It's part of life, man. Jimbo Fisher saw us, was like, I'm cutting in. You're doing a run in. I'm taking Ricky's spot. I got 77 million reasons to talk about my life.
He doesn't want to hear my big rant at him, so he came in to get me.
Here is the biggest story of the week. There was so much that happened this weekend. It is not even, it's hard to get into. First of all, thanks everybody for joining us today. We're going to get into a lot of football. There's going to be some Jaden Daniels for Heisman candidates talk, I can see. Larry's been pushing it all weekend for good reason. Jimbo Fisher got fired. And Jimbo Fisher has not lived up to his contract in Texas A&M. They paid him a lot of money to get them into a championship contender. And let's face it, they've been average to above average in his tenure there. I'm not going to say all of it's his fault, but that's a lot of money in that school. There's a lot of reasons for him to fail. I don't think recruiting and money was an issue. They are owing him $7.5 million through the year 2031, and they owed him a balloon payment of $19 million within, I think it was 60 or 90 days. There it is, $19 million balloon payment in 60 days once he was fired.
God.
Gentlemen, are we in the wrong business or what?
Oh, big time. Hey, did you hear that the rumor go around is that Texas A&M is going to try to get Dion to be their head coach?
That's not what I heard. I heard something else if you want to get into it.
Yeah, and we hear what you said, what you heard.
All right, I'll ask Ricky. Ricky, what do you think about Clemson losing their head coach?
Who? Clemson.
Clemson.
They fired Dabo?
He is not fired, but he was asked about the coaching position in Texas A&M, and would not definitively say he is staying at Clemson.
Oh, wow.
And
I see your transition there.
And I don't know if you guys have been following what's going on in Clemson, but he's been on the local college talk shows, and he's kind of had it with the fans, man. They've been getting on his ass because the last 2 or 3 years they haven't been nearly what they were in his previous tenure. His exact quote the other night was, I think this was last week on the show, when a caller called in and said, "You guys aren't doing enough." He said, "You're exactly what's wrong with college football today." He said this to a caller on a local show there.
Wow,
So,
you can't do that.
I think he's about had it there. If they don't realize what they have in him, I wouldn't be surprised if he walked out the door and went somewhere else. And Texas A&M, let's face it, there's only one school in the state of Texas that's got more money than Texas, and it's Texas A&M. So that one caught my eye. And then the other one that caught my eye was Mississippi State. This is why you're Mississippi State. You hired a coach you were sort of half in on and half out on to begin with. And then we get to the end of the year and he's not performing like you feel he should with a team that, let's face it, he's having to rebuild, and you fire the man before he even has a real shot to do anything with this program. Mississippi State, enough bad shit cannot happen to your program as far as I'm concerned. You guys are the most wishy-washy fan base and athletic division I've ever seen. You never stick with anything too long. You're like a 7-year-old toddler. You don't know what you want for Christmas, but you know it's not whatever the hell's under the tree right now. So I was kind of pissed off about Mississippi State firing their head coach. I didn't think he earned it. I thought he'd done it the best he could with what he had. The other big news is what I got a beef with. Well, go ahead, Ricky. You said you had something you want to say about Texas A&M situation, I think.
I don't know how you could fire a coach, even though he's totally underperformed. I don't know what the expectations are in Texas A&M. But regardless, for the guy to walk out the door in a education of higher learning college with $76 million, how do you explain that? How do you even do that? I can't fathom that. And the hypocrisy of the NCAA, I'll transition real quick to Michigan and then I'll back up. That whole Jim Harbaugh thing, whatever. The hypocrisy of the NCAA to go through all that stuff and all these other scandals at schools and to let a coach walk away with $77 million is just unfathomable. I can't even comprehend it.
Well,
Yeah, but it's not.
go ahead, Rob.
But it's not the first time this has happened in college football with the coach too.
I know.
You
It's
would,
just
you would think they would learn not to give these guaranteed contracts out to.
that's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off. It's just it's unbelievable. It's just, and then they talk, and now even though now we have the NIL deals and we have, players able to make money off of themselves, which I've been screaming for this for years. For years. Those players, like the highly talented players, are the ones that bring all this money in for the schools, especially during bowl times. Not a coach like Jimbo Fisher.
Right.
He's not passing the ball. He's not running the ball. I mean, I just think it's ridiculous to pay college coaches that kind of money at a state school. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Crazy.
I'll say this much about that. You are worth what someone in a booster is willing to pay you. And I will never, ever get upset for a man living on money, making some money in his profession.
I see what you're saying.
I can't hate on him, but I do see what you're saying. If you're fired for cause, which he was, there's got to be an out that's a fair deal for everybody. $19 million in 60 days and then $7.5 million each year until 2031. That is absurd and a half. Larry says I call them Texas 8-4 for a reason. You're right, buddy. You're right. That is exactly what they are, and they've let it get in their head ever since the Johnny Manziel days that because they beat Alabama one time, they should be able to do that every year. And the truth is, you had a magical season with what looks like a future Hall of Fame running or a wide receiver in the NFL and Mike Evans, and you don't have that anymore. And you haven't had it since then. So how about if you guys grow up a little bit as a fan base and realize you're not Texas Longhorns, you're not Alabama, you're not Georgia, you're not Michigan, you're Ohio State. You're the next tier down from all those schools.
Know your role, right?
Exactly.
Stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
As for Harbaugh, I'm probably going to have a different take on this. I don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't find what he did to be that damn alarming. I don't find what he did to be that outside of the rules. People try to steal signs all the time. If you're not smart enough to change your billboards in the football games, you deserve to get your signs stolen. This is the biggest non-issue I think I've seen in college football in forever. It's as bad as when Ohio State had their kids getting tattoos for free off campus. And the coach lost his job for that. I mean, that was the biggest bunch of bullshit I ever saw in my life. A head coach losing his job because kids are getting tattoos off school campuses and not knowing about it. So that's what I equate this to. It's a non-story, and this is the NC. What this really feels like to me is the Big Ten is upset that Jim Harbaugh has finally caught up to everybody in the Big Ten and is running roughshod through that entire conference, and they're tired of seeing it. That's what this feels like to me.
They just want to make they need to make an example out of somebody, and they chose Harbaugh. You can't tell me there's other, like you just said, you can't tell me there's other colleges that aren't doing the same thing. He just got caught, or they got caught. Now they're making a statement with what they're doing.
It gets back to it gets back to the hypocrisy of the NCAA. I mean, if you think about it like this, each and every week at these major college games, there's 100,000 fans in the crowd, people all over the place, security, coaches, people watching. How is one person going to go into a stadium, watch the other team run plays, passing plays, whatever, and then report back to the coach and say, hey, I saw them run passing plays, or I saw them run running plays? You don't think Jim Harbaugh or whoever it is changing it up the following week?
Well, that's the thing. If they're not, then
that's
they're
my
idiots.
point.
I've heard Peyton Manning talk about audibles in the NFL, and he said what he would do to do an audible is he would change the city's name, but it would still be a capital to alert the team when it was an actual audible. So instead of saying, instead of saying Richmond, he'd say, Atlanta, or something along those lines to change it up. So his team knew, but the other team was like, all right, is this a completely different play call or what is going on now? So the whole thing blew me away. I thought it was stupid. I still think it's stupid. I have nothing to say else about it. Jim Harbaugh should not be any way, shape, or form in this kind of trouble. It's completely absurd to me. On to some actual football. What do you got for me? Because I talked about them before the year started. I said they're young, they're learning to play together, and if you don't get them early, you're sure as hell not going to get them late. Them Georgia Bulldogs are catching fire right now when it matters the most. Right now. They are beating the hell out of everybody in front of them, and everybody that talked trash about they didn't have a tough schedule, they didn't play anybody. The last, how many games now have been a ranked opponent that they have just decimated? Missouri gave them a tough matchup, but they pulled away late. They beat the hell out of Ole Miss. Carson Beck is starting to look like a big arm, rocket arm quarterback. They're starting to get healthy again. Brock Bowers came back. They ran the ball all over them. The defense got after it. I don't know if I can say anything else about Georgia. Right now, they are number one in the nation for a reason. They are the team to beat. They've been the team to beat. The NCAA and the AP poll and all the horse shit, not ranking them number one, was all about clicks and look at me moments. I'm over this. Can we get to the SEC championship already? My only fear is they have a letdown game between now and then, but I don't see it happening.
No, I don't see anybody beating them. Not right now. I don't see anybody beating them.
This team reminds me of the teams that Alabama used to run out there year after year when they were winning all their championships. Yep. This Georgia team on both sides of the ball, everything that they do, they got athletes, they got playmakers, they're just loaded. They're loaded. If they lose, I don't see how. I don't know what their schedule is left. I don't see.
I can tell you, they've got Tennessee next week, which we're going to get into, and then Georgia Tech.
That's a win by 38 points.
Yeah.
That's a win by 40 points.
Yeah.
Ron, what you got for me, man? I know you were doubting my dogs a little bit earlier in the season.
Hey, I come around, dude. I come around. Oh hell.
I said they were just young. That's right. It's a young team, man. It wasn't going to happen overnight. You lost all those players in 2 years to the NFL draft. It was going to take time to get this team to figure out what they were. They figured out what they were. They're a bully.
And I'll tell you what, they've sort of rounded right into form. I mean, it's been just like watching them all year. They sort of they just rounded right into form at the right time.
Now their running game is just on fire.
Yes, the running game is coming around.
Was the kid's name Milton? The one that's just...
Which one? They had a couple of guys go slam off in this game.
Yeah.
Shit, now I got to go look it up again. I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, Milton had a big game.
Yeah, my God.
Yeah, I mean, he had a big. He only carried it 9 times. The Rock was Edwards. He was the guy that was pounding up the middle and just wearing them out. So every time he hit you for 2, he'd hit you for 3, and then there comes the other kid on the outside. You didn't see it coming. Little turbo jets take over. They impressed me, impressed the hell out of me.
Oh yeah,
great 1-2 punch right there.
You know who didn't impress the hell out of me? The Tennessee Volunteers, who got absolutely curb stomped by Missouri. I mean, it was a bludgeoning. The score says it's 36-7. It wasn't even that close. I talked about it last week. Ricky, you missed it. This kid Schrader.
Schrader's coming on.
I said it last week. I said the kid has quietly had one of the best seasons I've ever said in yards per carry average. He did it again. He carried the ball 35 times.
Wow.
Let me say it again. 35 times he carried the football. When was the last time you remember hearing a kid carry it that many times? And I said it last week. He's averaging 5.7 yards per carry. Carry.
I'm
in
actually
the SEC.
I'm actually looking at the game stats now. He had 116 yards receiving.
Yeah. Yeah, Tennessee couldn't stop him. Tennessee could not stop him.
Holy shit.
Nobody could stop him. No. Georgia struggled last week to stop him. They were just trying to hem him in.
Oh. He had 320 yards on receiving and rushing the ball. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He is absolutely taking Missouri on his back and taking it off. I mean, I tip your hat. That team, I mean, they beat up on Tennessee like there was no tomorrow. Tennessee, like I said, I wasn't high on the quarterback when the season started. They've got a few games left. If they got any sense, look, you're in a bowl, right? You're not going to go anywhere else. You're not playing for a championship. The SEC title games are decided. They can play that redshirt freshman right now for the next 3 games and not have it count against the season. I'd roll the kid out there and see what he's got because you already see what you've got with this team right now. You're not going anywhere. You're going to play in the Outback Steakhouse plethora bowl where you get, some tote bags, and that's about it. Roll the kid out there in this meaningless bowl game and see what he's got.
There's a
Yeah,
potential. There's a potential that Missouri and Georgia play in the SEC championship.
No, it's already
No?
decided. It's Alabama and Georgia now.
Oh, okay.
Those games last week locked it in. That is a
Gotcha.
done deal now.
Gotcha.
Speaking of Alabama, they were bluegrass stomping all over Kentucky in this game. It was over early. It didn't get better.
Yeah.
That felt like a message Nick Saban was sending to the SEC. Like, hey man, we're back.
Yeah.
And he didn't stop in the fourth quarter. He put 14 more on them just to make sure the score was back where it should have been. Because they got away from what they were doing, put in the backup for a few snaps. Milroe, he threw a pick in the game. His numbers aren't great. I mean, he only carried it for 36 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns. When do you see I only ran it for 36 yards, but I ran it for 3 touchdowns? When do you ever see that in today's college football game? He did what he was supposed to do. He's impressed me. He's grown as their quarterback. I like what Alabama is. They're a tough out, and you're not just going to walk all over them. They're going to fight you tooth and nail. I love what I saw. Ron, did you see it?
Oh yeah, I saw the bludgeoning. I was getting band-aids out to try to stop the bleeding, but it wasn't helping. So
My God, they needed gauze as pals and a
it's
tourniquet.
funny because as that kid has grown and gotten better, Alabama's gotten better, and then again, another clean game, game.
I mean, you keep going to it. You've mentioned their penalties several times this year. When they play clean games, they pull away from teams late. They have all year.
Yeah. Oh, the Alabama Georgia game's been fabulous. My God.
When has it not been fabulous? It's been good year after year.
Sure.
I mean, it's just it feels like you're watching the 2 best teams in the nation almost every time. I will say the caveat last year when Ohio State and Georgia went at it, that might have been the greatest college football game I've ever seen. It really might have. Yeah. And I know people aren't going to remember it because it wasn't the title game. When that game was over, I was in a room full of friends and I said, you just saw the national title game. They are going to absolutely walk the dog in 3 weeks when they play this, or in 2 weeks when they play this next game. No, you know what I'm talking about. They just beat Michigan. Michigan wasn't up for that game. You could tell they weren't up for that game last year. It wasn't, they weren't ready for that game. That other team was all hype. Michigan wasn't ready for a national title showdown, and it happened. I mean, Georgia walked the dog. Ricky, what do you got for me, man, on this Alabama team?
I'm thinking, remember a couple weeks back, we were a couple weeks into the season. People are calling for Nick Saban's head. People are talking about Bama. I give him a lot of credit. I give that team a lot of credit. Speaking of teams rounding into form, he just shows why he's such an awesome coach. I mean, he's taken a young team. We talked about it early. He's found their identity. He's got a quarterback who plays within himself. They're a nice team.
I was impressed. Another team that's been impressing me late is Texas Tech, who upset Kansas. And I know Kansas's quarterback went out, I think it was about halfway through the game, didn't he, that he went out somewhere in there?
Both the starter and Bean.
Yeah, the backup went down, and then you knew it was over. But I'll give Texas Tech credit, man. That defense is nasty. They stay after you. I mean, they've been in a lot of games this year. They played it. I know they've only got 5 wins, but I just remember they haven't gotten blown out, right? Like they blew out Baylor. They beat the hell out of Houston. They barely lost to West Virginia. I mean, it took them a few games to get going. Remember, they took Oregon to the wire earlier this year. Oregon had to, score late to win the game. So I like that game. I don't know how much you guys saw of it. I just saw the quarterback went down. I was like, that's not going to end well. There's your first upset that I could see coming this weekend. Rod, you must have seen it. What'd you think?
I was going back and forth with it, but I was watching more of the other games, so I wasn't paying too much attention to it.
Yeah.
Once I saw that the first quarterback went out and then the second quarterback went out, I was like, they didn't look good. Looked out of sorts.
It wasn't pretty. It just wasn't pretty. Pretty. Ricky, did you see it at all? Saw the highlights. I got you. All right. But I'm going to ask you now, Ricky, because this is your boy, Penix Jr. Washington and Utah had a dogfight. It was close early. And the second half, Utah just couldn't get it back in gear. Oregon's defense took over. Washington's defense took over. Penix the last few games, man, he's not impressing me. I know his numbers say he threw for 332, but that wideout is impressing me more than Penix is as of late. And I'm not alone. The catch he snatched in the end zone over the DB was incredible. I mean, he threw it deep and the wide receiver was there. I don't know what else to say about it. And I want to get into it now. Blatantly honest about the Heisman right now. I want to hear from you, Ricky, because you've been high on him. Where do you got your Heisman's right now?
Well, you know what? I'm going to train. I got a guy playing for Oregon right now who.
Here we go. I knew you were going to bring this son of a bitch up.
Listen, I wasn't a big, but he's played himself into contention. That guy has played himself into contention. Right now, who's my front runner? Man, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Penix only because Washington is 10-0 and they're ranked real high. But he's not head and shoulders above everybody else. But he's my front runner right now.
Not mine.
I'm going with the dark horse. I'm riding this kid. I've said it a couple of weeks ago, and his numbers aren't disappointing. His team has not been great, but he has. Jade Daniels is simply putting up.
Well,
606 total yards. 606 total
I've
yards.
I've never seen anything like that. That's the first time I ever saw. And I mean, we've all watched the greats. I've never seen anything fucking like that.
He is putting up video game numbers right now.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's just video game. And I don't want to hear that LSU has lost 3 games. They lost one game that you can sort of say might have been Jade Daniels. That was the first game, and he still didn't play terrible. LSU looked sloppy that whole game when they played Florida State. They just did. Jaden Daniels has simply turned it on since then. When you throw for 372 and run for 234, I don't care what's going on in the rest of college football. Bo Nix had a nice game. I'm not going to say he didn't, but he was playing USC, right? Haven't we established that there's 2 things USC doesn't do, and one of them is play defense? That's one thing they don't do. They don't play defense.
So I just looked at Jaden Daniels' stats, right? I knew
They're
that they
insane. They're insane.
I don't want to just give stats, but this is actually eye-popping. He's thrown for over 3,100 yards, 30 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions.
Yep. And then look at his rushing stats.
His rushing, I mean, are you kidding me? Oh, my God. Unbelievable.
I don't know what else to say about the kid. I know he's not getting the love on the national level right now. Larry's talked about it. He had 3 games against top 10 opponents on the road that he lost. And
I think it's his to win. I think it's his to win now.
That's my guy. I'm
what.
ride or die with Jade Daniels right now. I had my doubts about – I said it at the beginning of the season. I had 3 quarterbacks I was watching. Bama's, Tennessee's, and LSU's because I had serious doubts about all of them. Daniels has grown. He's impressed me. I'm all on that kid's bandwagon to win this thing. His numbers are insane. What is his rushing numbers? I can't even remember what they are.
I was just going to say that. He has 918 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns.
So he's going to bust 1,000 yards rushing, right? Like he's going to bust it. He's going to be the 3,000, 1,000 club.
I didn't realize his numbers were eye-popping. I don't know everyone else's numbers, but holy shit.
They're not that. They're not that.
What's his completion percentage? I think that's high up there, too. I think it leads the college football.
I want to say he's at last time I checked, he was close to 70%.
He's 66%.
Okay, yeah.
That's not
It's come down the last couple of weeks, but he's still up there. I know people are like, Jade Daniels, LSU, they lost a whole shitload of games. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Hold on. He's actually not – I'm sorry. I was reading his career. He's actually at 72%.
That's what I thought. Yeah, he was at 70 a couple weeks ago. So,
he's
reading
gone
the
up. Other number. Yeah.
Okay. So, I knew he was at 73 weeks ago. And I was like, he's completing 70% of his passes, and he's averaging 300 a game, and he's rushing for almost 100 a game.
I'll tell you what. I would like to put his numbers side by side with Penix or Nix or whoever. He's got to have the best number so far.
Yeah, they can't touch his numbers.
No.
Holy shit.
Larry, you said you weren't getting – your boys won't get love, Larry. Well, I'm here to give you some love. That kid's on the next level. He should be on the Heisman train, and he should be the front runner at this point in time. On to a game that sort of caught my attention again. Texas, man. What are you guys doing? They let TCU score 20 in the 4th quarter and make it interesting again. What is happening in Texas? And did you see the big news? The big news isn't even that Texas won this past week. The big news is Ewer said he's coming back for his senior year. And they've got the kid behind him that was the redshirt freshman that played this year ahead of Manning. So my question, and I'll ask you, Ron, because you seem to know about it, does Manning stay or does he go now?
No, you want. So here I go. If Deion Sanders' son goes pro,
He's not. That's already come out, which, by the way, somebody last week said that he was coming out. Deion came out last week to clarify. Apparently, his quote was misconstrued. He said he's not coming out until the 2025 draft. You can put that down now.
Yeah. Okay. So I think he's hitting the portal.
All right.
But to what team?
I know where, and
Tennessee?
You don't want to hear it. No.
Where?
Penn State?
Nope.
Oh God, that'd be good. Who?
The rich get richer. Georgia.
No. Georgia?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Georgia was one of the last two schools that were on his checkbox on where he wanted to play.
Wow.
He chose Texas because he thought Ewers would be gone next year and he'd have a shot at the starting job. Ewers is not coming back as a senior to sit the bench. I will put money on that right now. There's not a chance that happens. Now, it's the Manning family, so you never know. They always do things a little bit different. But it would not shock me if the young Manning said, I think I've had enough. I'm going to go pro. Texas right now is struggling. Ewers, not having Ewers has really hurt them. He played this past week. He looked okay. He still looked shaky at spots. But that defense, man, it can be had now late in the game. And that's not where you want to be late in November when you're trying to fight for that playoff spot. You just don't want to be that team because Oklahoma suddenly looked like they got their shit back together this past weekend. I don't know what you guys saw, but Oklahoma suddenly was like, hey, man, we still got a shot at this playoff spot. We still got the Big 12 championship game. We can do something because I don't think they're out yet, are they?
I don't think they're out of the Big 12 championship. No, I mean, they're 8-2. I don't know what the standings are, but.
Well, I know one thing. Ewers coming back kind of shocked me. Yeah, so here we go.
But I think it's very smart on his part because he was at the beginning of the season. He was a high. They figure a top 10 pick, number 3 quarterbacks, number 3 or number 4 quarterback coming out of the draft. With him getting hurt again, and him coming back, he might be the best quarterback coming out next year.
Well, I don't know.
Sanders. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We're going to have to see because every year there's somebody that comes out of nowhere. Oklahoma State is above Oklahoma because of that game. And I knew there was one team between them and Texas. They need Oklahoma State to fall.
Yeah, they got their butts whooped.
Oklahoma State got donkey punched by UCF, by Central Florida of all teams. Just, dude, talk about blowing your shit up. That was bad. I got a couple more here. I know we're almost halfway through the show. We're going to get through this. Ohio State, they beat up on poor Michigan State. I don't think we need to dwell on that. It is what it is. Duke's defense finally showed back up. They did not. Kidding. But their offense did. They took North Carolina late. North Carolina, they're struggling right now. Is there anything else that we missed? It's Michigan, Penn State. We didn't even cover Michigan-Penn State game. That was ugly late. Penn State, I thought, made a lot of dumb decisions going forward on 4th down. When if they'd have kicked those 2 field goals, they might have won that game. I thought it was stupid. I didn't get it. Well, I don't know. I don't understand why coaches get inside the 15 now or the 10-yard line, and it's 4th and goal from the 3, and they're all like, let's go for it. Take the points, man. Take the points. Your defense was keeping you in that game. They were clearly missing Harbaugh that day. I didn't get it. Did I miss anything, fellas?
No. Let me ask you guys a question here. Do you think J.J. McCarthy is the number 3 quarterback coming out? I don't see it.
No, it's the kid from Duke.
Yeah, but on a lot of the mock drafts they think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback in the draft. I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Kid from Duke.
They
Michigan.
They talk about these top 10 quarterbacks, but then I always harken back to what teams are picking these guys, right? So you're a top 10 quarterback coming out, but then when you get to the NFL, you might not even be anything. Because you're going to a bad team. You're going into a bad situation. You're going into bad coaching.
Yeah, a lot of these mock drafts have been going to the Rams. It's like, I don't see it. And I don't want that to happen. So
the kid from Duke will be the 3rd quarterback taken. I am convinced of that as I'm sitting here right now. just because of what I've seen from him. His mental toughness. He's got a big arm. He's a big kid. He wants to play. That's just how I see it. Next weekend, we don't got a lot of good football, boys. Have you seen the schedule next weekend? Because it's bleak.
Yeah.
It always is, though. I hate that they do this every year, the week before that they have the damn showdown in the Thanksgiving Day games. It's always some horse malarkey games. The only couple of games that are worth seeing, Utah and Arizona. But I mean, let's be honest. Are we really gonna pay a whole lot of attention to that? Because it's neither one of those teams are going anywhere. You've got shit. I know Georgia plays Tennessee. If that's not a blowout, I'm gonna probably lose my shit.
Georgia is going to win by 40 points.
Yeah. They should. And Washington State and Oregon State, right? That's the one game that's worth watching next weekend, in my opinion. You guys got anything else for me? Go ahead.
I'll just add this real quick. I hope Wake Forest knocks the frauds out of the top 25 when they beat Notre Dame. Maybe Notre Dame will be out of the top 25. I'm rooting for Wake Forest.
I'm rooting for a tie.
Oh, I'd rather kiss my sister. I want Wake Forest to win.
On to the NFL, because the first Thursday night game, do we really want to dwell on this? It was I can't stand this game. Chicago won in a battle of the who gives a shits. They kept number one pick in the NFL draft because Carolina is just completely floundering. I don't know if it's the coach. I don't know if it's the quarterback. It's a complete debacle.
They have no number one receiver. They have no offensive line. Brian Burns
they got no number one pick. They got no number one pick.
No. So not in how their salary cap is looking for next year. So they might be screwed, blued, and tattooed for next year.
I mean, I don't know what they can do next year, to be honest. You got no number one pick because you traded to Chicago, and Chicago's sitting there with 2 top 5 picks, I think, now. If they come out of this draft with Marvin Harrison Jr. and the quarterback from USC, Caleb Williams, that'll be the greatest heist in NFL history.
Wait a minute. Who are you talking about? Chicago?
Yeah.
Caleb Williams? No way.
Okay, bet me. If they have the number one pick or the number 2 pick,
you think they're taking Williams?
I guarantee you they're taking Caleb Williams.
I think, I like what you said about Harrison. I think that'll be a great 1-2 punch with Justin Fields and Harrison.
Who'd you say?
Who'd you say? Who? I said I think it'll be a good 1-2 punch.
I think I'm not hearing you. Are you mentioning Justin Fields as being a playable quarterback in the NFL right now?
Yes.
The guy who hasn't seen the field in how many weeks? The guy that said he was healthy last week that could have played. Do you not think they're not sitting him to make this record as bad as possible and drawing out this injury as much as they can?
No.
I'm with you, Ricky.
I actually think that he has a lot. Listen, I think he has to grow, obviously, but he's shown flashes. So Fields, I don't think he's terrible.
Tim Tebow showed flashes.
I think Chicago. Listen, I think Chicago as a team is terrible, so it makes him look worse. I actually don't think Justin Fields is that bad. He just needs a better system around him. He needs better coaching.
We're going to see here in the next 6 weeks because you're honest to God.
I think Chicago trades out of the number one spot. It gets more draft picks. Because they need a lot of help.
All right, wait. I want to ask this then. Hold on. I want to ask.
They have 2 top 5 picks right now. Why the hell would they trade the first one? There's no way you pass on Caleb Williams.
Yes,
if you're that GM.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. How much better is Caleb Williams than Justin Fields right now?
Miles
ahead.
Miles ahead.
No, I don't think
miles ahead.
No.
Miles.
Nope. Caleb Williams is raw. He's raw. He's as raw as can be. I do not agree with that.
I think you 2 sons of bitches drug tested next week.
No. Listen, I'll tell you what. I'll say this now. I'll go out on a limb now. I think Caleb Williams is a total bust in the NFL. Total bust.
Yep.
I'm bookmarking this show. I'm bookmarking this because there is no way if the Chicago Bears are sitting on the number 1 pick in the NFL draft next year.
Nope.
The guy holding the card is going to break his ankle running to the podium to announce this name. He's going to break something.
Chicago has. Listen, I don't want to spend this whole show talking about Chicago, but Chicago has too many needs. I'm telling you,
That's
if I'm
what-
Chicago,
Okay.
I don't draft Williams.
I'm trading out.
Yes.
Okay.
I totally agree
Kansas
with you.
City, Kansas
Let's
City
move
has a
on.
lot of
Let's
needs.
move on.
Quarterback isn't one of them, which is why they're winning. On
Let's
to the
move on.
Colts and the Patriots. I don't want to cover this shit either. This
Garbage.
was bad football again.
Garbage.
Just
garbage.
terrible. Mac Jones does. I can't put this all on Mac Jones, and I'm not a Mac Jones apologist, but
no.
they got no weapons on that team.
Nothing.
They got
No.
nothing.
Nothing.
They got nothing. So on to the Stroud show. We got to talk about this kid. I had serious doubts about Stroud coming into this season for one reason. He's got that Buckeye moniker on his name. And I have feared Buckeye quarterbacks since the 80s. They never seem to work out when they get drafted. I can't remember one specifically going the top 5 that ever worked out. Now, they might have been career backups, but they weren't the franchise guys you had in mind when you drafted them. C.J. Stroud's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL in his rookie year. You don't see that often. He put this team on his back late in the game and said, we're going to win. Follow me down the damn field. Cincinnati cannot stop me. Unbelievable. Unreal. Wow. Guys, tell me what you saw. Ricky, I'll let you go here.
Oh, I'll tell you. I mean, they are a product of their coach. I've always liked Ryans. They are a scrappy team. They got some talent. I mean, this guy Stroud's putting up some eye-popping numbers. He's got offensive weapons. I mean, I don't watch every, I got the NFL ticket. I don't watch, every minute of the Texans game, but every time I turn the score on, they're just going down the field. They're putting up numbers. They're a really good story. I'll tell you that. They're
fun to watch. They're so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Ron, what you got for me, buddy?
I just watch highlights because like I said,
that's right.
I worked all day for the little reptile show.
There was one thing that got my attention to this, and you being a big fantasy guy, did you guys happen to notice the running game that suddenly reappeared?
Yeah. Where'd that come from? Because that wasn't supposed to be.
That was the first time Singletary's gotten to carry the ball that much all year.
Yeah.
And suddenly, and I don't get me wrong, Pierce was a really nice story last year, but he hasn't done much this year.
No.
And after a game like that, if you're the head coach, you've got to go back and say, hey, guys, I like Pierce, but we got to make sure Singletary's getting that ball 15 to 20 times. Have to.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say about Stroud, for a young kid, he has composure, man.
Yes, he does.
And he sees the field. He knows to project the processions of the receivers and where they're going and where to go to. And he doesn't panic. And there's talk, I don't know if it's really good talk, but there's talk that MVP talk for him now too. So
now, see, I saw that too. Yeah. And I'll give it to him under one condition: Mahomes falls off a truck and breaks his leg. Then I'll give it to him. Because I've never seen Mahomes work with less in my entire life than he is right now.
Yeah,
he's working with one tight end, a bunch of what the hell's that? Anyway, there was a theme this weekend too that I want to talk about. How did this game end, Ricky? How did the game end?
What the Bengals and Texans?
Yeah.
On a field goal.
Walk-off field goal. There was a theme this weekend.
Goal,
That's one. Walk-off field goal number one.
I just want to add this real quick. You asked how's the Texans running game and how their offensive line gave up 1 sack.
Yes.
Yeah.
1 sack.
But having said that, and I want to talk about this since we're talking about that, the sacks are not always indicative of the line. The quarterback's got to read the field and get it out hot sometimes. He's got to see that hot blitz coming. Stroud sees it coming and knows when he should bootleg and get out of the pocket. So I can't wait to watch the Houston Texans some more this year. I'm really excited about it.
Absolutely.
On to Lord, I want to bury my head in the sand. Pittsburgh's got to be the ugliest 6-3 team I've ever seen in my life. That's just
and they're going to win the division.
Hell no. I don't see that. I don't see it.
They beat Cleveland this week. They're going to win the division. I'm telling you right now.
Well, I'm going to just say I don't want to dwell on this. They play a brand of football that if I was a fan, I'd be grayer than I am right now, and that's saying something. Because I say that, they're like my Broncos. They cannot pull away when it matters most. They just can't do it. Everything has got to be a struggle with this team. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. They bend but don't break on defense. The defense hasn't been particularly great this year, but it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Anything else, boys? Or are we moving on to the next shit show? Tampa Bay and Tennessee. Tampa Bay is 4-5, but they feel like there's so many teams this year that their record unless you watch them, you don't know what they're made of. Tampa Bay is just going to fight you with everything they got on every damn game.
Yeah.
They're not going to go quietly into the night and just say, no, we don't have it. And neither is Tennessee for that matter. Tennessee played hard. Tampa Bay at home in that heat, I just looked like they got worn out late in the game and couldn't really make a play when they needed to. Right? Did I miss anything there?
No, I mean, I think Baker did a nice job. I actually picked up Mayfield. I sat Lamar Jackson this week, and I picked up Baker Mayfield. He had a really nice fantasy game. But Tampa Bay has some offensive weapons. They can move the ball down the field. They got Evans. They got White. They got what's his name? I forget the other wide receiver. But,
Godwin.
Yeah, thank you.
Who is on my fantasy team and has disappeared like a thief in the night. Making no catches, it's killing me, man.
Tampa Bay is one of those tweener teams. You know what I mean?
They are. But their defense plays really tough and gives them a chance late. So good for them.
Their secondary just sucks.
Yeah, it ain't to what had to be the comeback of the weekend. Cleveland Browns and Baltimore played what had to be one of the weirdest. It had to be the weirdest game I've seen so far this year, right? It wasn't particularly enthralling. I mean, at halftime, it was 17-9. Baltimore looking like they're going to pull away. Then it was 24-17. It was like, all right, hold the ball in the fourth quarter. You got it. And out of nowhere, Cleveland starts making all these turnovers happen. Just the pick six was just like so bizarre because it was a batted ball 40,000 yards in the air, and the wide receiver never saw it. Nobody saw it except Lamar and the DB that was coming in on it. It was just a bizarre game. I think Cleveland has finally decided to get off of the Kareem Hunt bandwagon on giving him the ball so much. Ford finally got a shot. He carried the rock. He carried it well. He looked healthy. When his longest run was only 28 yards. So we carried it essentially 16 times for like 76 yards or so. It wasn't eye-popping, but it was pretty good. It was pretty steady. I don't know what to make of this game. I don't know what to make of the Ravens. One week, they're beating the hell out of Seattle and blowing them out. The next week, they're throwing terrible interceptions late in the game at home to lose it. Ricky, give me something because I don't know what to say.
Well, I don't know how Cleveland pulled this out, but Lamar Jackson only had 13 passing attempts. Now, I know Baltimore's –
yeah, but you mean completions, right? Completions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he had 13. Yeah, he was 13 for 23. Baltimore is going to win with defense, and they're going to win with running the ball. Okay, fine. I don't know how I don't know how Cleveland won this game because if you look at their stat line, Deshaun, and it's like if you just looked at that, you would say there's no way Cleveland won this game. I don't know how they pulled it out. Baltimore's a weird team.
They're so weird.
Ron, you mentioned Pittsburgh winning that. I was going to say Baltimore, but there's just something about Lamar Jackson and this Baltimore team. It's just weird. It's just weird.
It's like if they're firing on all cylinders, you cannot touch them.
Yeah,
but second, hey, I'll put it to you. It's like a NASCAR team, right? They are firing in first place, and they get a flat tire, and they never recover, and they hit the wall 35 times, and they're out of the race. It's insane to watch.
Yeah.
Well, they forget to stop for gas and run out of gas right before the finish line.
Yeah. Dude leaves the gas can in the freaking container, and they just take off down the road, and they get black flags and shit. It's crazy. Rod, you missed some crazy games this weekend because how did this game end?
Field goal.
That's two. We had two walk-off kicks late in the game. All right. I'm not going to dwell on San Francisco and Jacksonville. This felt like this game was coming from a mile away to me. It felt like there was going to be a blowout. Jacksonville has been scrappy all season. Their offense has not been prolific. Their defense has been hanging on and making it tough. And San Francisco had lost, how many was it, 2 or 3 in a row?
Three in a row. They
had lost 3 in a row. They needed this, and they were not. I just didn't see a Shanahan team losing 4 in a row. I thought they would come out there and handle business, and they did more than that. They beat the hell out of them boys. I mean, they beat them into submission in this game.
That killed me, fantasy-wise.
Oh, I got ETN, buddy. He did me no favors. That was rough. I mean, they honed in on him and said, you're not getting free. That was the one guy they targeted the whole game.
I think the bye week helped out Brock Purdy more than anything else because he can come back healthy and not have all the cobwebs in his head gone.
The only thing Jacksonville. I'm sorry, Ron. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You could tell that, like, the highlights I saw of the game, that he looked more like Brock Purdy this game than he had the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. On to the Joshua Dobbs victory tour. Minnesota, what are y'all doing? Who do you think you are winning all these games like this now that your quarterback's done for the year?
I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
Go ahead, Rod. Go.
No, go ahead, Ricky. Go, Ricky.
No, I was just going to say, like, the Vikings lose their top wide receiver. They lose their a quarterback who I don't really like, but he was having an MVP year with his friggin' numbers. They lose this, and they're 6-4, and they're doing it with smoke. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're friggin' 6-4. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Did you see what the Sunday night game is now?
No. Oh, yeah. Denver, Minnesota.
Yeah, they flexed it to Denver, Minnesota. I don't know what they had before. I don't think they had it on there as the regular Sunday night game. I don't remember seeing it there.
Huh.
They probably had Rams Seattle, probably.
I honestly don't know. I might be wrong. I just don't remember seeing this on Denver's schedule as a Sunday night game. And then suddenly I woke up this morning, it was like Denver Sunday night. So maybe they did and I just missed it. Either way, that's going to be fun to watch. You've got two teams surging right now. Specifically, their defenses are surging.
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs.
Unbelievable.
8 carries for 44 yards. You've got to corral that kid.
Yeah.
And Derek Carr, look, man, I've wanted the kid to succeed, the young man to succeed this year. He's not a kid anymore. But the injuries are it's starting to become a concern.
Yeah.
It's starting to be more than just a little he's dinged up. It's starting to become he's injury prone this year. And he's been injury prone for the past several years. And I don't know that he's ever fully recovered since his leg he broke that year or when they were making that big playoff push. He's never looked the same to me since then. So Minnesota, see you on Sunday, buddy. Yeah, I look forward to the game.
Number 3 wins in a row.
I mean, hey, we're going to get there.
I told you. I told you. Remember, you told me you thought I was high when I said Minnesota will make the playoffs.
I still think you're smoking ganja, but we'll see if they make the playoffs.
Yeah, but
Atlanta,
they're probably going to win the NFC South.
I'm not putting nothing past Detroit right now, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
No,
I'm not
good
putting
Lord.
nothing by them. Kyler Murray came back this weekend out of nowhere. Kyler Murray came back and played competent football. And someone said this on Twitter, and I can't get out of my head anymore, and you're not going to either. Next time Kyler Murray takes off, tell me he doesn't look like a toddler running, like he stole the cookies and is running from his mom. Watch him next time and tell me he doesn't look that way with his little arms in motion at 100 miles an hour.
Oh, I didn't see. I saw Sonic the Hedgehog. Somebody say
Larry, what's the stat of the day? Vikings have beaten the Saints 15 of 19 total times. That's stat of the day numbers. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, Kyler Murray, man, 249 yards, ran for another 33. Atlanta, they finally turned Bijan Robinson loose. Finally. I don't know. But here's what they did do. They turned him loose and stopped giving it to Tyler Algier. Why? Someone explain this to me, please.
Because the coach doesn't know how to distribute the touches right.
I've never seen anything like this in my life. The first 2 or 3 games, he looked like he knew what he was doing, and they've suddenly stopped doing it. Am I crazy?
No.
Well, Arizona won 25-23. How did they win, guys?
Field goal.
At the end. That's 3.
Did you hear the stat that was it Trey McBride, the tight end? He had like 131 yards. That's the first tight end since 1989 for the Phoenix Cardinals back then to have 100 yards receptions.
Wow.
Since 1989.
Wow. Somehow I believe that because of this organization's history. I believe it. Detroit and LA. I think we know who the next coach is going to be fired in the NFL is right now. I think we all see this coming, right? You cannot lose this home game. You cannot. Justin Herbert quietly threw 4 touchdowns. I don't know how you do that quietly. He quietly threw for 4 touchdowns. He quietly threw for 323 yards.
Keenan Allen quietly had 11 receptions for 175 yards. He's streaking.
He was
streaking
back.
For the fountain of youth, man. Something, man. Jeez.
He was back. I'll give him credit. How do they have no sacks in this game against the Detroit Lions? Not a single sack with Bosa. Nothing. Like, you're not even blitzing Derwin James. Look, as a Broncos fan, I don't give a shit. I hope they lose every game they play moving out. I don't care about the Chargers one bit. But if I'm a Chargers fan and I got Justin Herbert, I got a generationally good quarterback there, and I can't beat the Lions at home.
The Lions are
help me out, Ricky. Am I crazy? This guy's got to go, man.
Oh yeah, I mean they're just. I thought their defense was going to be half decent, but they can't stop anybody. I don't see him lasting. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like the Chargers, it's been like a theme with them for years. They have a quarterback, they have a receiver, but they just can't. The Chargers are one of those teams. It's just like I can't put my finger on it.
They've done this. This is what they do as a franchise.
Yeah.
They take generationally great players and waste their entire career in this shitty organization.
Yeah.
They've done it forever.
Yeah.
This is just going to be the latest kid to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make 2 points on this game because, man, the highlights. I watch highlights more than any of the highlights because it was just unbelievable.
2.5 point spread. This one cost me. This one hurt.
Oh,
I took the Chargers. The Chargers were getting 2.5 points. That's why I took them. And the Chargers lost by what?
Kickoff. I mean,
last second field goal. That's 4. If you're counting at home, kids, that's 4 walk-off kicks to end the game. I am not giving the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants a second worth my time. The point spread in this was 17. They covered the spread. That tells you all you need to know about this shitty team. That is the New York Giants.
I'm not even talking about this game, so let's just move on.
Just a complete wash. Next game was the Washington Sam Howells versus the Seattle Flaphawks, because Geno threw for 369, but I don't know. Something looks off. Maybe people are going to say I'm being a hater. He just looks off. I don't know.
No, he does look off.
It didn't look clean. It was a 31 for 47 type performance. That's not stellar. Sam Howell wasn't a whole lot better at 29 of 44, but they stayed in the game. Late, he gave him a chance to win. Washington folded. Their defense choked. There's no other way to put it. Their defense choked with 52 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, it's not the first time all season.
And Seattle did what to win the game?
Field goal.
That's 5. 5 walk-off field goals.
I think Geno Smith started not looking as good. Maybe like the last 3 games of the season last year, and just carry. Yeah.
But he's looked bad at times this year, man. He's looked bad, and the Commanders' secondary is not good. It's historically bad right now. Like, they drafted that kid in the first round, and I don't know that he's going to work out for them. He has not showed me he was worth that pick that they had. But walk-off kick. Ron, I'll let you have your moment. Your Raiders, that's 2 in a row. Do you know what they call that in the NFL?
Raiders.
You know what they call that?
Raiders.
They call that a winning streak.
Yeah, okay. Let me say this. I'm going to slow my roll on that because it's the Jets, the Giants. They want me. I mean, I'm happy they're winning. They look good. They're playing with fire. They're playing good football. They're running the ball. But let's see what happens this week.
Who do they got this week?
Miami Dolphins.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, join us next week, boys and girls, when we check on Ron's mental health. He might have a bottle sitting here.
Yeah, it'll be good.
God, this was an ugly game.
The Raiders are 4-1 at home, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, well, they've got a strong support system out there. A lot of people don't realize that LA fan base takes that round trip out there every Sunday to Vegas It's like an hour flight, if I'm not mistaken, or less. And they got a round trip, ticket for I think $150 you can get.
Oh,
So if you're a Los Angeles native that was a Raiders fan in the 80s and 90s, this is nothing to you. If you're looking to go to a weekend game, I mean, just go. Nothing.
yeah.
On to the last game before we close out shop today. My Broncos shocked the world, stunned everybody. Josh Allen couldn't quit throwing picks. They couldn't quit fumbling the ball. It was a thing of beauty. Russell Wilson, I have been hard on him all year. I'm going to give him credit. He played a tough, gritty, smart game. He grinded this thing out. He grinded my heart several times. I'll admit that right now.
Yeah.
I thought the stroke was coming. The pass he finally let go out of bounds on fourth down, all I could say was, finally, it's fourth down. You have to throw it for God's sakes. Cortland Sutton made a good play. Also made a terrible play with the fumble. I've been saying it for a while and nobody wants to believe me. Patrick Surtain, I think, is the best cornerback in the league. He locked up on Stephon Diggs last night, and Diggs couldn't do anything. The only time he caught the pass was when he wasn't on him. He was jamming him on the line all night, getting in his face, would not let him go. Denver played tough secondary. They played press all night. I was impressed. The running game of the Bills is what impressed me as well. They ran for 192 yards against Denver. And I want to say 75 of those yards came in the fourth quarter. So there's some shit they got to clean up. Don't get me wrong. Denver's defense is not what I would call good. They played a good game as far as the passing stance. They've got to clean that up if they're going to go anywhere and get on this little run. That's 3 wins in a row for my Broncos. I'm not going to harp on them, but that running game was killing them late in that game last night, and it was pissing me off.
That one bounce that James Cook we broke down.
Oh, you talk about a lucky break.
The ball bounced right in his hands.
I mean,
Holy
lucky
crap,
break.
man. Yep.
But I took a lot of shit from Bills fans yesterday, so telling me there was no way my Broncos could pull this out. Careful what you wish for. And I was impressed. There was a lot of Broncos fans in the stands in Bills Stadium. I don't know if y'all saw that or not, but there were orange jerseys everywhere.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ricky. You got something to say?
What's up with this Buffalo team? 5-5. Josh Allen's playing mediocre.
Shit can their OC today. Fired him.
I saw that.
I think he's hurt.
They're 5-5. I mean, there's still time to go, but man, people had them in the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. I don't know what it is about this Buffalo team. I think Josh Allen might be a little overrated.
No, I think he's hurt. Okay. I think he's playing hurt.
No, I'm not going to hold that against him, but
no.
I don't know if he's hurt. I just think they don't have a very good scheme right now for him to play.
Oh, no. No, not at all.
You saw what happened last night when you get an elite cornerback on their number one receiver that can truly follow him. They don't have other weapons.
They
don't have a lot of weapons.
I didn't watch much of the game, but if you shut down Diggs,
I mean, they had a game plan. Give Sean Payton credit, like Larry said. He's got the Broncos playing in the right way now. I don't feel. I've been saying it for a while. Gabe Davis, I know people love him in fantasy world, but he's not a consistent enough number 2 receiver for me.
No,
he's got no speed. He has no speed. None.
He'll have 25 points 1 week, and then he'll have 6 points for 2 weeks, and then he'll have 0 points, and then an 18-point week. He's just too up and down.
And one of the interceptions bounced off his hand. That was an easy ball to catch.
The rocket shot. It was that rocket shot.
Yeah.
So, tip my hat to my Broncos. Very proud of them. Glad to be a Broncos fan this morning. That felt good. On to week 11. I'm not going to take the Thunder this week. Ron, I'm going to let you tell me, what game are you tuning into that's not your own game next week?
No, I'll let you take the Thunder because I'm going to take Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I can deal with that. All right. I'll let Ricky go. I know he's got one for me.
Well, of course, the Eagles, but I'm interested to see what Tampa Bay does at San Fran.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Good.
That might be sneaky good. All right.
Say it.
What we went through last Thursday, we don't have to go through this Thursday. Cincinnati at Baltimore. I think you're about to see a showdown right there. That game very well could decide the AFC North, in my opinion. I think Cincinnati, I honestly, God, think Cincinnati got caught flat-footed last week against the Texans. I think they underappreciated how far that team's come. I honestly think they overlooked the Houston Texans. And then they got slapped in the face repeatedly. And after the game, what do you say? Because they stopped running the damn ball. A third into that game, they stopped running the ball altogether. The Bengals did. I'll be curious about this one. The point spread's 3.5 for Baltimore. So clearly the Sharks are all over this one. That's about what you think at home, but that half point always makes you turn your head like, okay, that's a half point there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I thought you were going to say Kansas City and Philadelphia.
No, hell no, man. God, no. I'm not watching Kansas City at night. I'm not watching that shit. That'll be my wife. She can watch that. Thanks for joining us back in a binge. Guys, that's all I got this week. You guys got anything else?
No,
thank you.
Have a good week, brothers.
Yeah, guys,
as always, if you like the show, we appreciate you. Please tune in. Give us a like. Give us a thumbs up. You can find me at Busted Move on Twitter. You guys want to get your handles?
At High Desert Ron.
At Philly Fitter 420.
Go Broncos.